Hey guys, this is Jaime. I'm going to be conducting a pre-trip inspection. This inspection applies to the DMVs that are located in Fontana and the one in Gardena. Each DMV has their own little ways of doing the inspection, so I'm just going to do the ones that we go to, okay? I'm not going to go in depth. You're going to have to go through it in a little more detail. So I'm just going to bring up the stuff that you have to describe, and I'm going to describe it to about 80-90%, but I'm not going to be going fully in depth, otherwise the video is going to take way too long, okay? So when you're coming to the vehicle from the DMV, the first thing you're going to let the examiner know is that you want to inspect the lights. That's something that's very critical. So you can ask him, hey, can you help me please check my lights? So be polite, right? So as they're coming to the vehicle, tell them that, and then they'll decide whether to check it at that point or later after you conduct the inside or the outside inspection. So the first thing we check for the pre-trip inspection, if you have a system, go top to bottom and then inside out. It'll be a little easier. So I'm going to start top to bottom. We have a set of lights on top. You probably can't see it, but on top there is 3 lights in the middle that indicates it's a commercial vehicle. The 2 lights on the side indicates the height and the width. They should be amber in color, like any other lights. No broken, no burned. They should be properly secure and visible, clean, in good conditions. Then you have a little bit lower, you have your windshield. The windshield itself should be free from any cracks, no illegal stickers. It should be properly sealed as well. My wipers, they should have enough rubber on my blades, not broken. They should be functioning properly as well. A little lower on my vehicle, I got my grill on my hood. My grill should be protecting my radiator from any objects trying to that could potentially damage it. So my grill should be properly secure. Anything that has hardware, bolts or anything like that, that is a full set, that is complete, that is not loose, broken or missing. So my grill, it's in good conditions. It's not broken. It doesn't have any major damage. It's secured to my vehicle, properly attached to it. Also, I got a mirror on it. It should be clean, free of anything that might be preventing the proper use of it. No missing hardware. It's properly attached to the hood. Then a little lower, I got my lights, my hazards and left and right indicators. They should be amber in color. Not broken, not burned, secure, properly attached to my vehicle. I got my lights. They should be white in color. And also their functions are my high and low beams. Not broken, not burned, secure. Everything is pretty much repetitive. So you just have to learn the pieces that you have to describe. A little lower, I got my bumper. It's secure, no missing any hardware. It's not broken, it's not hanging. It's properly secured to my vehicle. Again, I'm repeating it. So, and also have my fog lights. They are properly secure, and they should be not broken or burnt and function properly. Under my vehicle, I'm looking for anything that's hanging, hoses, cables, or any type of leaks that I might be able to identify under my truck. And also, my truck should not be leaning sideways, which could be an indication of a flat tire, broken leaf spring, a shock absorber that might be defected or broken or damaged. Okay, so top to bottom, just like that. I'm gonna open the hood. I'm gonna start on this side of my engine compartment. I have a few items only. So I start top to bottom, inside out. I got my coolant reservoir. It should be capped, secure, hoses in place, clamps for my hoses also in good conditions. My hoses should not be ripped or leaking in any way. My coolant reservoir, I can see the level of it, so it should be properly level as well. No missing any hardware, properly secured to my vehicle. I got also my washer fluid in there for my windshield, and I should be also properly level, cap, secure, no leaks on it. I inspect all my hoses and my cables in general. My hoses should be not defective, no bulges, no cuts, properly secure. My clamps in place, properly tight. My cables should not be fried, loose connections, no exposed wires, nothing that could be an issue later on. So all my cables are secure. I don't see any damage to them. And then again, top to bottom, inside out. I got my belt, should have no more than 3/4 of an inch of free play, no cracks on my belt, no signs of any abuse to them. So I'm looking at both of my belts and they seem to be in good conditions. My water pump, which is right behind my alternator, should be also in good conditions. No leaks on my water pump. It's a container. any type of container, you're looking for leaks. My tires are a container, my shock absorbers are a container, my hoses is a container, my coolant reservoir, radiator, anything that's a container, you have to tell them, I'm looking for any leaks. I'm looking for the proper installation of it. It should be properly secured to my vehicle. So my water pump is not cracked, not leaks, it's secure, and it's not missing any pieces. I also got my alternator. It's also in good conditions. It's not missing any hardware. My connections are properly done. No signs of any damage. There is no movement on my alternator. I also got my dipstick here. This is how I check my oil. And I just pull it out, wipe it, put it back in to verify that I got sufficient oil in my vehicle. In case that I need some, I can put it through the top. Sometimes vehicles might have a filler tube. This one, you put it through the top. All right? So that's basically all we check on this side of the vehicle. Coolant reservoir, washer fluid, brake, hoses and cables, my belt, my water pump, my alternator, and my dipstick. That's pretty much all we check on this side of the vehicle. Now we're going to move to the opposite side. We have a few more items that we have to inspect. I reserve most of the stuff on this side so that at least you have one side that's a little easier. I got my radiator. It's secure. It's a container, so I'm looking for leaks. It's got hoses, so I'm looking for my clamps. My hoses are properly secured to my radiator. I'm looking for it to be not missing any hardware. And also, I got my belt on this side because I can't see all my belts from the other side. So I check my belts. You know, the no more than 3/4 of an inch of free play, no cracks on them, no signs of any abuse, so they should be in good conditions. Again, top to bottom, inside out. I got my hoses, and I got my cables. Same description that we did on the opposite side. No exposed wires on my cables, no loose connections, no fried cables, nothing out of the ordinary. My hoses, same description as we did on the other side. And then I also got my air compressor and my governor, which is right here. My governor and my hoses are properly secure. They're not leaking. They are not damaged. My my compressor, it's powered by a belt as well as my water pump. They're both belt driven. So I'm looking for anything out of the ordinary, missing any hardware, leaks on it, cracks on my air compressor or governor. My hose is properly secured to it as well. So I'm conducting a thorough, a proper inspection. Besides that pretty much covers my engine block. And then I'm gonna group things. I'm gonna do my steering system, and you can stay on one system till you learn it. So I start on my steering shaft. It should have no more than 2 inches of free play. It should be properly greased. It should have no illegal welds. It should not be bent. So I'm looking for anything that could potentially be damaging my steering shaft. And then I move on to my U-joints. They're secure, no missing hardware. They're properly connected, greased. And then I got my steering box. It's secure to my frame, no missing any hardware. It has no leaks, so it's in good conditions. I got my power steering fluid container. Its cap is level, it's secure, it's not leaking. My power steering hoses, they're also in good conditions. They have all their clamps in place. No leaks, no bulges, no cuts. It's in good conditions. Then I move on to my pitman arm, my drag link, and my steering arm. They're all secure. They're not broken. They're not cracked. They have no signs of any damage, no illegal welds. My hardware is in place. My castle nut and my cutter pins are also in place. They're secure. They're in good conditions. It's very important that you check for those. We have issues with those in the past, and it's scary. So if you forget to place the cutter pin in through the castle nut, the castle nut will come off, and you will not have a way to control the vehicle. So you might want to make sure you conduct the proper inspection, especially after they change a piece. Then I do my suspension system. I got my shock absorbers, I got my lift springs, I got my U-bolts, and I also have my spring mounts, which is right there. So my shock absorber is a container. I'm looking for any leaks. I'm looking for any hardware missing, any damage to it. So it seems to be in good conditions, in good shape. My U-bolts are properly secure. No hardware is missing. They're not cracked, broken, or missing, or loose. My lift springs, they also are free from any defects. They're all present, no cracks, no illegal welds, the same repetition that we've been doing. My spring mount is secured to my frame, no missing any hardware, no cracks on it, it's in good conditions. After I did that, so that's my suspension. And then I do brakes and tires. If you can do suspension, brakes, and tires all the way through, it'll be a lot easier. Because once you learn one of the systems, you'll be able to learn all three of them or four, whichever the type of vehicle you might have. So now I'm gonna move on to my brake system. I start on my hoses, my brake lines, my brake hoses, they're secure. No clamps missing, no cracks on my hoses, no leaks on them, no signs of any damage, no bulges, no signs of any abuse. They're properly secure or connected to my brake chamber, which in place also has my clamps. They're secure, no missing any hardware. They are not damaged. They are not leaking as well. I got my push rod. It should have no more than 1 inch of free play. On the back we can have up to 2 inches of free play, but here in the front only 1 inch, and I'll explain that later. I also got my slack adjuster. Should be sitting at a 90-degree angle. If it's not, that means your brakes need to be adjusted. If you have to adjust them, you release the brakes, and then the knob behind the slack adjuster, you're gonna turn it all the way to the right till it touches the maximum, and then you return it 1/4 of an inch back, and that will adjust your brakes. And you can do that on every single axle. So I'm looking for my cutter pin also. My safety pins are in place. I'm looking for anything that might be out of whack, out of order, or defective. Inside my tire, right here, I got my brake drums. They should have no residue, no white residue, no black residue, no signs of any lubricant in it, grease or oil or anything like that. Black residue could indicate that there's metal-to-metal friction. White residue could indicate that there was a fire, an extinguisher was used. Oil or grease could be an indication that your seal is broken and it needs to be replaced. My brake pads should have a minimum of 1/4 of an inch of life in them, and no signs of any debris or any residue of any kind in them. My brake drums themselves should have no signs of any stress, no cracks, no signs of anything that could potentially prevent you from braking properly. And then after I check my brake drums, I move on to my tires. I should have no less than 4/32 of an inch of tread life on my tires. Should be original tires only. No defects on my tires. Both of my tires should be the same size. The 80 to 100 psi, or depending on the manufacturer. To check my pressure, I check a pressure gauge, obviously, and I verify that I got proper pressure in my tires. No cracks, no bulges, like any other container. No leaks. My stem valve is in good conditions. It's not cut. It's not leaking. It's properly secured to my tire. Also got my rim. It should have all its lug nuts in place. I should have no residue that could indicate that one of them might be loose. None of them should be missing as well. I got a full set. I also have my axle hub cap. It's secure, no missing hardware. My seal is present. If I need lubricant, I'll take the seal off and put it through there, and until I reach sufficient amount. So as you can see, all the way through from inside out till I finish over here. And then I move on to the side of my vehicle. Bottom again, I got my mirrors. I'm looking for anything that might be obstructing proper use of my mirrors. No illegal stickers, no dirt. They should be clean, no cracks on them. They should be secured to my vehicle, no missing hardware. I got a set of lights, red on the back, amber on the front. These are my signal and hazard lights as well. No broken, no burn, they're properly secure, no missing hardware, wires properly connected, cables in good conditions, no exposed wires, and so on. Just pretty much what we did on the front for the cables. My door should be able to open and close properly. I'm looking for the seal of my door to be in good conditions. My door should be able to open and close freely. My latches in place, my hinges in good conditions, my handle in good conditions. When you come out, when you go inside the vehicle and come out, you got to use a 3-step or a 3-point contact. 1, 2, and then your feet obviously on the steps, and always facing back. Then I got my steps. They're secure. There's no debris on them. There's no lubricants or anything that will cause a fall. And they're not missing any hardware. They're properly secure. I got a marker light here. It's in good condition, no broken, burnt. It's properly secured to my vehicle. Then I move on a little bit to the right. I start on top and I inspect my exhaust pipe. It's secure, no cracks. It has no fumes going inside my cab, and it's got a heat screen on it, and there's no leaks, no clamps missing, no hardware missing, no signs of any damage. The back of my truck, I got my rear window. I'm also checking for it to be clean and also free from any defects. I also have my lines. I got my blue line and also my red line and my electrical cable. They are to be suspended by a spring so they don't drag onto the catwalk or might be getting caught inside the or onto the drive shaft. So my lines are properly secure and suspended by a spring. The red one is my emergency line supply. The blue one is my service line supply. And the other one is my electrical cable. They should have no defects, no cracks, no signs of any leakage, no cuts on them. The connection should be properly done to my vehicle. No signs of any damage, not too long, not too short. They should be not dragging onto my catwalk as they are right here. The connections are to be properly done as well. My glad hands, I got gaskets inside there, so they should be also not dried and no leaks, not missing any hardware, no damage to my lines. So everything is in good conditions. After I do that, I go a little lower. I got my catwalk. It's got it's in good conditions, no missing any hardware, no debris, no lubricants, no trash, nothing that will cause a fall. I got my frame, no cracks, no illegal welds, no missing any hardware, not an excessive number of holes in it, in good condition. It hasn't been in an accident or anything like that. A little lower, I got my drive shaft. There should be nothing wrapped around my drive shaft. It should be secure, properly greased, not missing any hardware. And again, it's all repetitive, so it should be in good conditions. Once I finish here, I also check make sure that I check my fuel tank. It's properly capped, it's secure, my belts are in place to prevent corrosion, not missing any hardware. My cap is in place. There's a little chain inside the tank that holds my cap. It should be also present so I don't lose my cap. And it should be not leaking, it should have no damage, so it's in good conditions. After I finish that, I move on to my trailer, again, top to bottom. I inspect the surface of my trailer. I got a few holes on my floorboard, so I just tell the inspector or the examiner at the DMV that I'm gonna fix those later. They don't mind because they know we use them only for practice. My straps, I got a sufficient number of them. To secure my cargo. They're in good conditions, and I got enough of them in my toolbox, so in case that I need them, but obviously we don't use them for that purpose. A little lower, I got my frame. I got a few items here. I got my reflectors. They're clean, secure, sufficient number of them, proper color, properly attached to the frame of my trailer. They're visible, they're clean, and they're in good conditions. A little lower, I got my tie downs. They should be functioning properly. They should be able to latch and unlatch. I should have a number enough to secure my cargo. I have my hooks also. They're all not missing any pieces, no cracks, no illegal welds, nothing that could potentially, again, prevent me from using them properly and securely. A little lower, I got my fifth wheel. There's a lot of pieces on the fifth wheel, so you might want to make sure that you go through them individually and you explain them and overkill it. Just do an over explanation on them. Again, I'm not going to go into depth, but so that we don't take too long for the video. So I got my landing gear. We got our pickup apron. We have a platform also on the fifth wheel. My pickup apron is the one on the bottom, and it should be properly greased. I also should have no gaps between my pickup apron and my trailer. So there should be no gaps, no light to ensure that there is a proper connection. My locking jaws should be embracing my kingpin properly. My kingpin itself should be free from any defects, no cracks, no bent, secure, no illegal welds on my kingpin. I also have a safety pin for my landing gear, for my fifth wheel. It's present, it's in good conditions. I got my fifth wheel release arm. It should be in the lock position as well. I also have my mounting bolts. They're all present. They're all secure. None of them are missing. None of them are broken. And they're securing my fifth wheel to my frame. So everything is in place. It's in good conditions. Now I'm gonna do my suspension, brakes, and tires. Same thing as I did on the front. My suspension here, I got airbags, I got shock absorbers, U-bolts, lift springs, and a spring mount. The Fontana DMV likes to call this one my torque, my spring torque. So, you know, it is a spring torque and it is a spring mount. So, but the whole system it's one. So, if you want to call it that. So, if you go to the Fontana DMV, just tell them, okay, my spring torque is secure. It's not missing any hardware. It's not cracked. It's secure to my frame. No defects. If you go to the one in Gardena, just tell them, okay, I got my spring mount. It's secure. It's not cracked. Not missing any hardware. No signs of any defects. My lift springs are in place. Not missing any of them. No broken, loose. And I got my U-bolt secure in my lift springs as well. They are not to be missing, broken, or loose. I got my shock absorbers. They're also not leaking. They are secure, they're in good conditions. I got my airbags also, so you can see them. My airbags are also getting the air through little hoses, obviously. So the Gardena DMV wants you to tell them about those little hoses too. So that my hoses are in place, they're not leaking, they're secure, they are in good conditions. Once I do my suspension, I move on to my brakes. Same thing as we did on the front. Brake hoses, brake chambers, push rod, slack adjuster, brake drums, brake pads, and any brake residue. Same description. The only difference is that my push rod shall have no more than 2 inches of free plate, because you have 2 brake chambers, so that the push rod has to travel a little farther than on the front, that you only have 1. Because you got 2 tires, 2 brake chambers, 2 inches of free plate. 1 tire, 1 brake chamber, 1 inch of free plate. So basically that's how you can remember it. After that, I check my tires. Tires a little bit different. On the front, we need 4/32 of an inch of tread life. Here, you only need 2/32 of an inch of tread life. Pressure is the same, 80 to 100 psi, or depending on the manufacturer. On the front, you can only use brand new tires or original tires. On the back, you can use recap tires. The damage should be the same. No cracks, no holes, no leaks, no bulges on them. Here you got 2 tires, so you're looking for anything that might be in between the 2 tires that could potentially damage your tires. If there's something inside here, you probably make your tire explode because of the friction, so you want to check that. The stem valve, same thing. And then I move on to my rim. Same description as I did on the others on the front. My lug nuts, my rim itself, my stem valve. So it's the same description. No cracks on my rims. The axle hub is a little different because you have the torque on the back. So this one has oil. It has a metal cap on it instead of a plastic that we had on the front. So I'm looking for all my lug nuts in place. No signs of leaks. My seal is in good conditions, so we're good. It's not loose, so I'm not losing any of my lubricant. And then I move on to the back of my tractor. I got my mud flaps, 4 to 6 inches from the ground, secure, no rip or torn. They're secure to my frame, no signs of any damage. And I also have my pintle hook in the middle of my tractor. It's also not missing any hardware. It's not broken. It's secure to my frame. And no signs of any damage. Just like any other piece of metal, you're looking for any illegal welds, cracks, missing hardware. As you can see, it's all repetitive. I got my lights. I got my reverse light, which is the white one, and I also got 2 red lights, which are my left and right indicators, my brakes, my running lights, and also I have my 4-way flashers on them function. So just like any other lights, no broken, no burn, secure, and no cracks on them. And then I move on to my landing gear. My landing gear boot, sufficient plate to adapt to the ground. My leg is fully raised, it's properly greased. My landing gear structure is not cracked, broken, and there's no pieces missing. The landing gear handle on these trailers on the opposite side is properly secure. It's not swinging. It functions properly as well. So it's the landing gear items are to be in good conditions as well. So I move on And I'm looking for my reflectors, my marker lights, my tie downs, my hooks, anything that might be out of order or out of the might potentially be put out of service. Then I get to these axles. These two axles are exactly the same, and we inspect in the same way we did the second axle on my tractor. So I start on my suspension. This suspension here is welded. So I'm looking for any illegal welds, any cracks on my welds, any defects on my welds, and they're secure. I don't see any defects on them. I got no shock absorbers here. I got no airbags as well, but I do check my U-bolts and my lift springs. They're secure, no broken, loose, or missing, no cracks on them, no defects on them. And then I check my brakes, same description as we did over there. My brake hoses, my brake chambers, my push rod, my slack adjuster, my brake pads, my any type of brake residue, just like we did on the front. All the brakes are inspected the same. So I'm looking for my brake hoses to be properly attached, no signs of any damage, no cracks on them, no leaks on them. My brake chambers in good conditions, no missing any of its clamps, no missing any hardware. My push rod should have no less or no more, than 2 inches of free plate. My slack adjuster should be at a 90-degree angle. If I need to adjust it, I take a 9/16 wrench, turn it to the right, and then a 1/4 of an inch back with my brakes released. My push rod, so it's in good conditions. My slack adjuster is in place. I got my any type of brake residue, black residue, could be an indication of metal to metal friction. White residue, maybe there was a fire and they used the fire extinguisher. Maybe there is oil or grease that could come from my seals. I'm looking for my brake pads to have not less than a 1/4 of an inch of life on any of my brake pads all around my vehicle. My brake drums, none of my brake drums should be damaged. No signs of any stress or any cracks on them, so they should be in good conditions. My tires, same thing that we did over there. I'm looking for any damage to my tire, any leaks, any cracks. I'm looking for them to have at least 32 of an inch of tread life. My pressure, 80 to 100 psi, or depending on the manufacturer. My stem valve in place. I check my pressure using a pressure gauge. So pretty much what we have already repeated. No debris between my tires. No leaks coming from my axle hub. My seal in good conditions. Here, this one has a plastic cap instead of a piece of metal like we did on the back of the tractor. My lug nuts in place. My stem valve not leaking and secure. No signs of any damage. My rim is intact. No signs of any cracks or anything that could indicate that I can't drive the vehicle. All right, so both of these axles are the same. You tell the DMV, you want me to describe this axle as well? They're probably gonna say no because they are exactly the same. It's the same thing. So I continue to move. I got my reflectors, my tie downs, my frame, my hooks, my markers and reflectors. Then I come to the back of my tractor. My trailer. I'm looking at my DOT lights and reflectors. They're all in good conditions. I got my brakes and left and right indicators. They're not broken, they're not burned, they're secure to my vehicle. No signs of any damage. My reflectors, sufficient number of them, in good conditions, highly visible, clean. My tie downs in place. My 3 lights that indicates it's a commercial vehicle as well. They should be red in color in the back. No burned, no broken, they're secure to my vehicle. A little lower, I got my license plate. It's secure, it's visible, and it's present. A little lower, I got my DOT bumper. It's not broken. It has no sign. It doesn't have any major damage. No cracks, no illegal welds. It's present. I got my my mud flaps. They should be 4 to 6 inches from the ground. No signs of any damage. Secure to my vehicle. In good conditions. At this point, you get to this corner of the vehicle and you tell them, this side of my vehicle is pretty much identical to the opposite side. The only differences are that I got my exhaust pipe, I got my fuel tank, and I got my landing gear handle. I already described those 3. But everything else is the same. And you ask him, if you want, I can continue with my inspection on this side. If not, with this, I have concluded my exterior pre-trip inspection.